Hi, my name is Ben and I want to take you through how to make a pizza dough. So I got into making pizzas about 3 years ago when I had a mad idea to build my own pizza oven in my back garden. And so then I needed a good pizza recipe for the dough, and I looked on the internet, tried a few different recipes, but eventually I settled on a recipe from this book. And this book was given to me by a good friend of mine. It's called the Pizza Bible. It's by an Italian-American chef called Tony Gemignani. I think he's got places in San Francisco. But it's a fantastic book, and the recipe that I've used today is kind of adapted, slightly simplified from the recipe in this book. But I recommend that book if you want to get into pizzas. So first thing we need to make a dough then is flour, of course. And just a word about the flour, you want a strong bread flour, and the key is the protein content in the flour. So bread flours can range between like 11% to 15%. So try and get a flour which is above 13%. And all you do is look on the back of the packet, look at the nutrition information chart, and it will show you there how many grams of protein there is per 100 grams. So take your flour, and we're using 700 grams of flour, and put it in your stand mix with your dough hook on. And I use 700 grams. This will make enough dough to feed my family. That's basically 2 adults and 4 kids. So we normally make one big pizza for the 2 adults, and then the kids have one little pizza each. So that's how much that this recipe will feed. So the next thing you want to do then is start adding water and yeast into the mixture. So first of all, we're going to take 105 millilitres of warm water. And into the warm water, we're going to put a pack of 7 grams of just dried fast action yeast. And just stick that into the warm water. The reason you're using warm water is because that wakes up the yeast, gets it firing. Now you're going to mix it. And I've got this little milk frother thing, and I just use that because that really mixes it up nice and quickly, dissolves all the granules into the warm water. If it doesn't dissolve, then it means that it's dead and you need to bin it, and you need to buy some new yeast because it doesn't last forever. But using the dry yeast is perfect, it's absolutely fine. And there you go, you've got that smell of beeriness coming off of the yeast now. So let's put this down into the flour. Let's just get it starting on the lowest speed on the dough hook, and then we're just going to pour that yeast and warm water mixture into the bowl there and just let it keep going. Now on top of that, we're going to add more water because that's nowhere near enough water to actually make the dough. So we're going to add 338 millilitres of cold water now. Because we don't actually want this dough to be too warm, because the warmer it is, the faster that it will start to ferment and do its business. And we want a slow fermentation. And I'll show you later how we're going to achieve that as well, because that gives us a better flavour. I'm going to take some of this cold water, and I'm going to pour it in that cup where the warm water was, just to make sure all of the yeast mixture is out of there, and then I'm going to pour the rest of that there into the stand mixer as well. Okay? So that's 700 grams of flour, 105 grams of millilitres of warm water, 7 grams of dried yeast, and then 338 millilitres of the cold water in there. Now it's starting to come together, starting to all mix together nicely. And the next thing we're going to add onto this is some salt. So I'm going to stop the mixer, just lift it out. So you can see it's all kind of quite combined already. There's a little bit of residue on the bowl. So what I do is just roll it around the bowl a little bit, just to try and pick up any little bits. And now stick it in the bottom of the bowl and make a little bit of a well. And then we're going to add some salt into this mixture. So this is 1 tablespoon of salt. Just sprinkle that in onto the dough as well. And then drop it down, and again just mix it for about another minute until the salt is combined into the pizza dough there. It's really starting to come together. It's a super fast process. And you're going to see in a second, we're not going to do loads of kneading or anything like that, you know, loads of hard work. You just don't need to do that because it's going to prove and ferment for a long time, so it's going to kind of mix itself together while it's doing that. Right, so I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to just take it off of the dough hook. And again, I'm going to push it into the bottom of the bowl, and this time I'm going to make a really nice well. And I'm going to add our last ingredient, which is olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil, 1.5 teaspoons, and we'll just pour that into that little well that I've made. And I do this because I have learned that I used to just kind of lob it in and it would go all the way around the outside of the bowl, and the dough would just literally just slide around the bowl. So if you put it in the well of the dough and then just starts mixing it right into the dough right away. And so again, we're just going to let that go until it's just combined with the dough. And it's only a minute or so. That's all you need to get it nicely incorporated. The next thing we're going to do is get it out of the bowl and give it a quick knead. I'm just going to get a bit of flour. Now interestingly, I'm filming this on lockdown, so we had trouble getting flour, and this came from our local bakery, just bagged up. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of that onto my surface here. I'm going to stop the stand mixer, I'm going to lift out the dough. It does come off really cleanly, but it's a very sticky dough. And you do want that. You don't want it to be really, really dry, because the hydration of the dough is what really makes it expand and puff up and get all those lovely air bubbles in when it's baking in the oven. So, you know, and if it was really dry, you'd be having a real tough time kneading this right now. So this is lovely. It's wet, it's a bit sticky, but you can work it, it's fine. And we're just gonna knead it for about 2 or 3 minutes. And to knead it, you wanna kind of stretch it and pull it back and roll it on top of itself. Stretch it over and out and pull it back. Dig your fingers in underneath, like that, fold it over. And as you do this, it's great. You can feel it really coming together and becoming smooth. And all the ingredients are combined and it becomes really nice and silky, almost, the dough. There we go. And that's enough. That's all you need. Beautiful bit of dough. Now next, then, we're going to take this dough and we're going to put it in a bowl. Just with nothing in the bowl, just in the bowl. And I'm going to take some cling film and I'm going to cover it twice with cling film and make it really tight around the edge so no air can get in here. And then we're going to put that in the fridge for 24 hours. And that is going to rise and it will fill this bowl completely by the time it's finished rising. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to stick it in the fridge and then we'll carry on with the video in 24 hours time. Okay, so we've got our dough fresh out of the fridge. It's been in there for 24 hours. And I'm going to take this cling film off. And I'm not going to throw that cling film away. I'm going to keep that. I'll show you what to do with that in a minute. So I double wrapped it with cling film just to make sure it was really super airtight. I'll stick that there. And then look at that. So it's more than doubled in the bowl. It's massive. So we're going to get it out of the bowl now. So it's quite sticky, and we're just going to kind of use your hand just to pull it away from the edge of the bowl because it wants to stick on there. And the process of doing this, pulling it away like this, it actually degasses it as well. You know, when you're making bread, you're supposed to knock it back and get the air out. Well, that's what this is doing. As I'm taking it out, it's just kind of combining it in there and degassing it at the same time. And just got to roll it out of the bowl because it's quite sticky, and that's exactly how we want it. So I'm going to get a little bit of flour and just coat that in a bit of flour. Now the next thing we're going to do is weigh that and put it on our scales to find out how much we're playing with here. And so we're just over 1 kilogram. And now we're going to divide the dough into the quantities we want for our pizza. So I'm going to make 4 small pizzas with this and 1 big one. So literally just start cutting it, and I'm looking for about 180 grams to 200 grams, so that's 200. I'll just take a little bit off of that and cut another bit off of the dough. That's 180, that's good. Cut another bit off. Oh, that's 185, not bad, not bad. And 1 more like that. That's 180 as well. Wow, I did that well. So I've got 4 small pieces of dough there and 1 big piece. And what we want to do next, just get a bit more flour on there, is to ball the dough. And to do that, just take it in your hands and you kind of want to stretch the surface and squeeze it under. Stretch the surface and squeeze it under, like that, until you get a really nice, tight finish to the top of your ball. And that's done. Now that is going to be the top of your pizza. When you push it out, make sure that is always on the top. So let's do the same with these others. Bit of flour. I'm going to ball it. Tuck it under, like that. Squeeze the bottom so it's nice and tight. Keeps all of the air inside that ball of pizza now. And that ball of dough. Just squeeze the bottom under so it's nice and tight and closed in. That's 3. Do the big one as well. It's going to be for me and the wife. That's going to make a beautiful big pizza, that is. But look at that, stretching the top. So it's lovely and tight. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to now leave these to sit on the surface for a good couple of hours. And that will get them really nicely up to room temperature. And once they're up to room temperature, they'll be really easy to then shape into our pizzas. So just put a little bit of flour on top of each one, because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the cling film that we saved off of the top of the bowl, we're going to put that back over the dough, and we're going to keep it nice and tight. Keep that air away from it so it can't dry out. It keeps all of this hydration in there. So put that one over, like that, and get that other piece. Get another piece over there like that. And I'm going to get a tea towel. I'm going to pop that over as well, like that. and they're just going to sit there. Good couple of hours, 2, 3, even 4 hours. They'll grow a little bit, but nowhere near as much as that first time when the dough went into the fridge. And then after that, it's good to go. It's good to shape out and put your toppings on and bake it in the oven. And I'll be doing other videos which will show you how to do all of those processes as well. So it's not hard. Once you get it down, it's quite quick and easy. You just got to do it the day before, think ahead, plan ahead, and this makes a really great pizza dough.